Hi, this is a great question from Cindy, and she is asking, why do small children and toddlers get cancer? I feel they are too young to have the type of stress you speak of, and this relates to an article I've written on Facebook, and basically the answer to that question is quite simple. Well, children at that age can experience serious stress. Even the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have admitted that children can develop cancer because they have serious stress during early childhood or even before they are born. So it is very well known that children can develop cancer because of serious stress levels. Now, stress alone doesn't tend to do it. It needs some other cofactors, and I've written an article on the subject, which you can find on my website, entitled "Cancer is Not a Disease," and there's a section on the causes of childhood cancers. And overall, children can be exposed to severe toxicities, and that you can determine by doing a blood test on a newborn. And newborns now have over 250 different chemicals, toxic chemicals in their bloodstream that didn't exist even 30, 40, 50 years ago. So a newborn child is no longer a healthy child, at least not in our hemisphere, where hormones, pesticides, air pollutants, all those different things that a mother is ingesting or receiving while she's growing a baby in her womb is being exposed to. Food alone contains so many chemical components nowadays that they do get stuck in the mother's body. It impacts the liver functions, and the ability of the mother to detoxify the blood is becoming impaired, which also means that she cannot keep the child toxin-free as it is growing in her womb. Now, there are many other reasons why a child can develop cancer early on, and one of the greatest reasons is vaccination. And there are 151 scientific studies that have shown that if children are prevented to detoxify naturally by going through childhood illnesses, which are naturally creating immunity to disease, these children that have been immunized have a much higher rate of developing, risk of developing cancer later in life, and sometimes quite early in life, like blood cancers, leukemias. Now, another reason why children can become more prone to developing cancer is because they have not been breastfed, and there are studies to show clearly that children that are not breastfed are more prone to developing cancer. There are certain vaccines which I want to mention, like hepatitis B vaccine given to children for no good reason, because this is a sexually transmitted disease, or it comes from blood transfusions, which children typically don't fall into that category. So, but hepatitis B vaccine has serious consequences. It can cause death and many other serious immune deficiency has immune deficiency effects that are detrimental to the growth of cells in the body during that early time in their lives. Now, there can be certain kinds of foods that the child is exposed to that often trigger allergies, that can create chronic inflammation in the child, and chronic inflammation is always a precursor for cancers, such as milk products. If they are lactose intolerant, they get gas, they cry. The mother feeds even more of those formula foods to to them, soon they will have a chronic inflammation in the gut, which can then affect many parts of the body and create excessive amounts of white blood cells. To combat that, which can then overtax the bone marrow, healthy blood production, and lead to immature cells, immune cells, which then can show up as leukemia. So again, there are many things that people are usually not aware of that can cause cancers in children. Here, one of them is also the treatment of young children with antibiotics, which impair or suppress the growing immune system, and these antibiotics are very serious, have very serious effects, not just on adults but especially in young children. Then there are unnatural additives in drinking water. For example, recently the CDC announced that young children or toddlers should not be exposed to tap water that has added fluoride in it, and because of the fluoride is a very strong poison that is added to drinking water under the pretense that it helps with the teeth of children, which has never been proven. Quite the opposite, it can cause damage to teeth. But fluoride is a carcinogen, and it can cause cancer, and that's why now there is a great amount of caution, at least to keep children away from tap water that has been polluted with fluoride. There's another common reason that is not known by most people, and that is cutting or clamping the umbilical cord between the mother and the child as soon as it's born, instead of waiting for about 60 up to 60 minutes until the umbilical cord stops throbbing, which is very, very important, because during those 40 to 50, 60 minutes of the blood exchange, that means the blood is constantly circulating between mother and child and back to the mother through the placenta, where the blood is filtered, where all the toxins and waste products that occur during the birthing process are eliminated, so that the blood of the child is completely clean, completely pure, and it is well oxygenated. If the umbilical cord is clamped or cut right away, which is now typical, so that the mother can be released from the hospital very quickly, and there's a lot of it's like making room for the next patient. There's a disadvantage to that. The child will only have about 60% or even less of the amount of oxygen in the blood when this clamping occurs too early. So this leaves often a very large number of toxic substances in the tissues of the baby, which then can lead to inflammation and later on to cancerous growth. So having said that, there are far too many reasons to discuss in a short video like this. So if you're more interested, read the article which you find on my website, energy.com, ENER-CHI.com, on the articles page.